What's up, everybody? This is Power to Women, episode 5, I believe. But who's keeping track? Not me. But anyway, today is a very special day. It's a Thursday that I'm recording, but you're gonna listen to this on a Tuesday. Woo woo. But I have a very special guest again. This is Ella. Ella is... I'm not even sure what type of plant she is, but fun fact, this is the first plant I ever owned. So this is what started it all. And she's great. Actually, there's two types of plants in here. I don't know if you can see, like, this one up here is, like, the leaves are a little bit bigger than these ones. So there's, like, two types of plant in here, and I'm not sure which one's which. I don't know, honestly, but I'm surprised that they're still living because there for a while I didn't water this plant for quite a while, like a couple months, but she pulled through, you know. Ella, hell yeah. I don't know why I picked that name. It just came to me, you know. Ella. But yeah, so that was my special guest for today. I also have my little Yoda cup. It's so cute. But yeah, so that's kind of what's on the desk. That's what's on my desk today. But yeah, so I have a very special person I want to talk about today. Some of you might know her, actually, and she's probably the most popular person I'm going to be talking about. Probably because she is the most famous and the most well known by most people who lived in the like 1950s, I would say. So I would think some of you might know her, but some of you might not, because I didn't know about her until I started researching her, you know. But yeah, so the very special and incredible woman I'm going to be talking about today is Ella Fitzgerald. Hell yeah, right? What a name, Ella Fitzgerald. It just sounds so, like, cool. I don't know. But yeah, so Ella was born on April 25th, 1917, and she sadly passed away June 15th, 1996. So she had quite a long life, which is freaking awesome because she was an amazing person. She was most known, or well known for, being the Queen of Jazz, or First Lady of Song. That's what some people would call her. And she had won 13 Grammys. And she has sold over 40 million albums. Holy crap. And she also did collaborations with, like, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, and other huge jazz musicians back then. So yeah, she was a singer. She was a jazz singer. She was very unique in the way her voice sounded. She did a couple unique techniques, and it worked for her. You know what I mean? And she was freaking amazing at singing. I listened to some of her songs today just so, like, I knew what I was talking about. You know, I wasn't just bullshitting and saying, oh, she's such a great singer, even though I never heard her sing. But don't worry, I looked up a couple of her songs, and they were actually really good. I was like, God damn, I've never been one to be into jazz or anything like that, but, like, I could get into it with Ella, you know what I mean? I could probably start listening to her every single day. But yeah, so if you have some time, you know, go check out Ella Fitzgerald's music and see what you think, because I really like it, and you might too. New music, there you go. Everybody wants new music, right? But yeah, so that's kind of how Ella was made famous. You know, she's a famous singer, and that's what she was known for. But I kind of want to get into her backstory, her struggles, because she did have a lot, unfortunately, and how she overcame all of those struggles and defeated all the odds, which is freaking amazing. So yeah, so she was born in Newport Beach, Virginia, and to her mother and her father, and soon after she was born, I'm not sure exactly how long, but her father left And so her mother and Ella moved to Yonkers, New York, and there they actually moved in with Ella's mother's longtime boyfriend. And then they eventually, her mother and her mother's boyfriend eventually had a kid together, and so that was like her half-sister. So Ella didn't have a lot of siblings. She only has one half-sister. She doesn't have any full siblings or anything like that. So she was kind of like an only child. So she lived in Yonkers, and her family wasn't the richest, you know, and so she tried to help as much as she could. So when she was younger, she got a job as a runner for gamblers, which is kind of crazy, because like basically what that means is like she would run and go get like chips and come back to the people at the table, or go get money and come back. You know, she would just kind of run all over, which is like, why would you allow a child running in a freaking casino? You know what I mean? But like different times back then, different times, you know. But yeah, so she was doing that for a while, and then actually in 1932, her mother died from injuries involving a car crash. And that left Ella all by herself. So luckily, her mother's sister, so Ella's aunt, came and picked Ella up from Yonkers, and she lived with her aunt. And then sadly, her mother's longtime boyfriend died of a heart attack soon after, and so they took in her half-sister too, and they kind of were raised together, you know, grew up. But Ella was very unhappy. She did not like she did not like the situation she was in. She didn't want to be there. She started skipping school. She started getting bad grades, and then eventually she got into some trouble with the police, and she ended up being arrested. Once she got arrested, she actually was sent to a reform school, which does not sound good, okay? And there she hated it even more, because why would you not? You know, she had to stay there. It's not like it's just like an alternate school. No, she had to stay at that school. And the caretakers there were beating children. So they beat her. And she was just not having it. And you know what? Who would have it? That's freaking ridiculous. I hate hearing about like child abusers and all that, because how could you just hate a kid so much that you just want to beat the hell out of it? You know what I mean? And just hurt it. Like, I just don't understand. That's not something I believe in, and that's not something that I agree with. I don't know who does, but I certainly do not. But luckily, at the age of 15, she escaped. Woohoo! But she was broke, and it was the Great Depression time. So it was a very, very hard time to be alive in general. You know, it was a hard time. It was a Great Depression. It was depressing, you know what I mean? But she survived again. Look at that. And so she was a survivor, you know what I mean? And actually, she said in an interview, I believe one time, that she appreciated her past, because it showed her that no matter what the struggle is, she can survive. That she can survive in the hardest times. That what she's going through right now isn't that bad compared to where she came from. And she actually said that for some reason, all that abuse that she took actually made her a stronger performer, because she felt like she could do it. She felt like she was confident enough. She was brave enough, because she already had gone through so much bad crap in her life that she was like, this is nothing. This is nice, you know? And I think part of it was because, like, she said that when she would get up on the stage, everybody loved her, you know, like applauded her, just appreciated her, you know what I mean? And so I kind of feel like maybe she took that as, oh, when I was younger, I didn't get that much love, I didn't get that much, like, attention, but now that I'm on stage performing, I am, and I love it. And who wouldn't love that? Honestly, like, if you came from a past like she did, and you didn't have any love and affection, to being a very famous person who is loved and adored by millions of people, like, I'm sure that was like, holy crap, what do I do? You know what I mean? But luckily she, like, just kept moving, and she was so strong. You know what I mean? And she's a survivor, which is freaking amazing. Because if she didn't survive, we wouldn't have heard her amazing music. But in 1934, her name was drawn for a talent show, and there she was gonna dance originally. She wanted to dance, and she actually changed her mind at like the last minute because there's two sisters that went on stage before her. I believe they were the Edwards sisters. And she went up there and seen them, and then she was like, I cannot dance. There's no way, because like the Edwards sisters just like totally brought the show down and was like, woo, you know, like everybody loved them. And she's like, God, I can't top that. I gotta do something else. And so she got up there, and the last minute she asked the band if they could play Judy by Hoagie Carmichael's, and that was the first song that she ever actually sang, which was freaking amazing, you know. And then the crowd loved her so much, so they actually like demanded that she sing another song. So she sang The Object of My Affections by the Boswell sisters, and like ever since then, like everybody who listened to her loved her because she was an amazing singer, you know, and she was talented and just awesome. But yeah, so what I thought was super fascinating about her was that she said that she was actually shy and reserved when she was off stage, but then when she was on stage, she felt super confident. She felt like she just felt at home in the spotlight. And I thought that was so fascinating because it's like, okay, when you meet like a shy or reserved person, you're like, there's no way that this person could get up on a stage in front of millions of people and sing. There's no way. But like, there are people out there like that. And I thought that was, like, that's so inspiring to me because me personally, I kind of see myself more shy and reserved until you get to know me, and then I'm pretty out, like, I'm pretty, rah, you know. But she, like, just like kind of proved to me like, hey, you know what, it's okay if you're shy and reserved, but you're gonna find your thing that makes you feel alive, and you're not gonna be shy, you're not gonna be reserved, you're gonna feel like you're at home, you know. And that might not be performing for everybody or anything, but I just know that seeing somebody who is shy go up on a stage and perform is just means a lot to me, because it's like, god damn, I'm shy, but like, and they're shy, but they're not letting their shyness stop them from living their dream, you know. And so that kind of proves to me, like, don't let shyness, don't let being too scared to let yourself not live your dream, you know. And that's why I really want to talk about her today, because she was an inspiration. She is motivating, you know what I mean? It's like, God, she came from nothing. Like, her parents weren't around her that much because they both sadly left her, you know. And she just, I feel like she didn't really have that good of a family system, but she just kept going, you know what I mean? And I just love that, because it's like, sorry y'all, my camera died. I really need to just start charging it before I push record, but I just can't remember. But yeah, so anyway, like I was saying, she's a very inspirational person, and she is motivating me to go after what I want, even though I might be shy, might be reserved, but I can still do it if I want to do it. And that's what I really like about her. So eventually she started just registering for every talent show that she could, like, that she found out about. So she just kept going to talent shows after talent show, and then at one talent show, there was a person in the band, and his name was Benny Carter. And he's a very famous musician, you know. And she became friends with Benny, and Benny actually helped her get into contact with people who could help her make songs, make albums, you know, get a job, start a career. But yeah, so her and Benny were lifelong friends, actually, and they worked together sometimes, which was kind of cool, you know. But they kept in touch throughout their whole lives, and that's pretty cool. But eventually, she found in 1935, in January 1935, she found Chick Webb, who was a very famous drummer and band. But we're back. Okay, so like I was saying, in January 1935, she ran into a person named Chick Webb, and he was a very famous drummer and band leader at the time, and she was like performing at the same place he was, and he heard her sing, and he was like, "Oh my God, you're freaking amazing! Like, would you come and play in my band with us?" And she was like, "Yeah." So they actually went to Yale, kind of like as a test run, and he was gonna say like, "Oh, if she makes it big, like if she's a hit with the young kids, then we're gonna take her," you know. And she did freaking amazing, which is awesome, you know what I mean? And so she started the band, started traveling with them. Chick paid her $12.50 a week. Okay, that's so freaking insane to me. I know it's like different times, money means different things, but like $12.50 per week, that's insane. But yeah, so she was doing that for a while, and then in mid-1936, so about a year after she was playing with Chick, she made her first song called Love and Kisses. It was a really good song, actually, and she sold a whole lot of freaking songs for that, and that got her to be able to play in one of the biggest, the most famous, my apologies, one of the most famous ballrooms ever. She played in there with her band, and I thought that was freaking amazing. And then in 1936, she also recorded a nursery rhyme, but a different version of a Tisket and a Tasket, and it sold 1 million copies. That's kind of like what made her like big, like a nursery rhyme that she redid. Like, that's freaking cool, you know what I mean? But yeah, so she's famous now. At this point in her life, she's famous. And I think she's doing okay with it, you know what I mean? She just keeps pushing forward though. And she never gave up, you know, she just kept going, and I really appreciated that about her, because like no matter what you're going through, you can go more. You can go another step, you can go another year, another day, you know what I mean? Like, you just gotta keep going. Just keep moving. And I really like that about her, and it's motivating me to just keep going, you know what I mean? But yeah, so in 1939, sadly, Chick Webb died, and Bella and Ella, she took over the band, and they renamed the band after her name, so it was like the Ella Fitzgerald's band or something like that, and she just kept performing, you know, she just kept going, and then she met a Benny Carnegie, and she fell in love, you know, she got married to him, but it wasn't so much love, it was more like she was lonely, and she thought she needed somebody. But then after being married, and then she found out he has a criminal record, and she just found out that he wasn't that great of a guy, so she got them married and old, which, good for her, you know, you don't stay in a marriage that you don't think is right, because you're just going to be miserable, you know what I mean? So she left, she got out of the marriage, and she just kept going with her career. She just kept going up, you know what I mean? And then in 1946, she met somebody again. This man was named Ray Brown, and she was in love with him. And they actually adopted a son named Ray Jr. So she had one son, but it was adopted, wasn't blood or anything like that. So, but that's really cool, you know what I mean? But yeah, so she had a family now. But she kept going with her career, you know what I mean? And she was doing so good with her career, she actually started doing television. She was mostly on like talk shows, like The Late Late Show, and stuff like that, you know what I mean? That's kind of like what she was doing with television, but she was still out there, getting her name out there, and still making that money, honey. Yeah. But yeah, so she was doing that, and then in 1952, Ray and Ella got a divorce because of the schedules, and they just felt like they were growing apart and they were always traveling different areas, so they got a divorce, which, you know what, don't blame them. Stuff happens. But they actually stayed lifelong friends, which is super cool because that's how it should be. When you have a kid together, you should still be friends because of the kid, you know? And I don't know if they were friends because of the kid or if they were just generally friends to begin with. I'm not really sure, but I know that they stayed friends. And then Ella had a manager named Norman, and Norman was super cool, you know what I mean? And, like, he really fought for Ella, and he made sure that wherever she went, she was not discriminated against. She was not like being slandered in any way. He made certain, which I thought that was super cool. And then one time in Dallas, Texas, actually, the police, after a show one time, stormed the backstage, came into the dressing rooms, and arrested everybody for no reason at all. And then later, when everybody was down at the police station, they asked Ella for an autograph. I would have been freaking pissed. I'd be like, okay, first off, you just arrested me for no reason, and now you want an autograph? F you, you know? Like, don't treat somebody like that and then be like, oh, can I get an autograph because we're such big fans? It's like, no, don't do that. What freaking, that's horrible what they did, you know? But yeah, so, but she got out of that again, you know? 2 times she's been arrested, maybe more, but 2 times for sure. But yeah, so she just kept going, you know? And then she actually was going to be playing at this very, very famous nightclub, jazz club. And they weren't going to allow her to do it. But then I'm not sure if she met Marilyn Monroe before this or if it was after, but she actually was friends with Marilyn. And she was actually friends with Marilyn Monroe, which was super cool. And there was this, like I said, famous nightclub, and they weren't going to let Ella play at that nightclub, and Marilyn actually called the owners of the nightclub and was like, hey, if you do this, I will sit front row of the stage, you know, front row every single night that they're there. And because Marilyn was such a huge name, it brought so much press to that place that when they actually did the show, because the owner agreed, and when they did the show, there was so much press, and that was the last time Ella ever had to play a small time, like, at a small jazz club. Like, never again. She was, like, huge now. You know, like, probably, like, Marilyn Monroe huge. And she actually gave Marilyn a super big compliment, which I thought was cool. She said that Marilyn was beyond her years and that she didn't even know it. And I totally believe that. You know, I really like Marilyn Monroe, and I really think she's an inspiration. And maybe I should do an episode on her because I really don't know much about her, but I know a little bit. But yeah, so her and Ella, Marilyn Monroe and Ella, were friends, which is super cool, you know. I didn't know that, but yeah. But yeah, so 5 years after that, she got inducted into the Downbeat Magazine Hall of Fame, which is super, like, awesome. And then she also got a Kennedy Center Honors for her continuing contribution to the arts, which is so cool. Like, those are such, like, huge, like, honors and awards that, like, that must have made her feel so good. Like, wow, I made it. You know what I mean? And then fun fact, she was also a huge advocate for child welfare, which makes sense, you know, because she grew up having a very hard time. So now she was donating money, and she was putting so much money into like, kids who were discriminated against or disadvantaged youth or anything, like, dealing with kids not having a lot of opportunities or advantages. She tried to help those kids, and she tried to give them a life that she didn't have, you know, because she understood where they were coming from, because she was one of those kids at that time, and I'm sure all she wanted was for somebody to help her, you know. And so I thought that was really cool that once she got big and she got famous and she had that ability to help people, she did, and she helped people that was like her, you know what I mean? And I just thought that was super cool. Yeah. So sadly, after that, a little bit after that, her sister sadly passed away, and she took over her sister's family. You know, she kind of helped raise the kids and all that, alongside her own child she was raising. But yeah, she's a very big family person, which I really liked, you know, and I thought that was super cool. And then in 1987, Ronald Reagan actually awarded her the National Medal of Arts, which is super cool. Like, the President of the United States gave her an award, which is freaking amazing, you know, and she totally deserved it. And like, I bet that just made her feel so good. And that's freaking awesome, you know what I mean? But yeah, and then in France, shortly after Ronald Reagan gave her that, France, they awarded her the Commander of Arts and Letters Award, which I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds freaking like huge and freaking amazing. So I'm sure she was thrilled about that. So not only was she a superstar or celebrity in the United States, but she was also a freaking superstar and celebrity around the world. She was famous. She was known around the world, which is so freaking cool and amazing, and she deserved it. You know what I mean? And then at Yale, Dartmouth, and other huge universities like that actually gave her honorary doctorates, which is super freaking cool, you know what I mean? So she's educated. No, I'm just kidding. I guess she kind of is technically, but yeah, so she was awarded a lot of things, and she deserved every single one of those awards, and I'm so glad that she was alive to see all that, and that she got to feel the appreciation and the love and acceptance from everybody that was a fan of her, you know what I mean? And that's super awesome for her, and I'm super glad that she got to do that. But yeah, so sadly in 1986 she had a quintuple coronary bypass surgery, and the doctors also replaced a valve in her heart, and they also diagnosed her with diabetes. And at that time, Ella had failing eyesight, so that was probably contributing to, like, was a factor or an effect of diabetes. So yeah, so she started getting sick, which is not good. It's not good for anybody, and she tried to keep going. Well, actually, she just kept going. You know what I mean? It's sad that she was sick, but that she didn't get stopped again. You know what I mean? She was never stopped until she died. You know what I mean? She just kept going, 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 going. And I thought that was so freaking cool, because it's like she never gives up, which is awesome. And then by the 1990s, she had recorded 200 albums. 200. That's freaking amazing. But then by 1991, she had her last performance at New York's renowned Carnegie Hall. Hall. So that was her last performance, and she freaking rocked it. Like, she rocked all her other performances. And then after that, she didn't really perform anywhere else. She kind of like sang a little bit, you know, but not really anything big. But then, sadly, her diabetes and her illnesses worsened with age, and then she had to amputate her legs below the knee because of diabetes. So she didn't have any legs when she, like, towards the end of her life, and she said that she enjoyed just being in the backyard with her son and her granddaughter Alice. So Ray Jr. had a daughter, which is cool that she got to see her granddaughter. You know what I mean? That's awesome. But yeah, and then sadly she died at her Beverly Hills home. She lived an amazing life. She was an amazing person. She was an inspirational person, a motivational person. She was just a great person all in all, you know what I mean? And, like, I'm glad she got to live her life fully, and I'm glad that she got to feel all the love and appreciation that she deserved, you know what I mean? And she was an amazing singer, you know? But yeah, so that was Ella. I hope everybody learned a lot. And so yeah, so I guess it's time to get into the positive segment time. Woo! So today I have a pre-read one, like I always do. But tiger populations are coming back again after 100 years. Tigers were endangered 100 years ago, and they are finally on the slight rise once again. A global survey from the WWF reports that the wild tiger population has risen back to 3,890 from 690 tigers from the 2010 figure. This is one of the many good news stories about wildlife and perhaps one of my favorites. But yeah, that's so freaking amazing, you know what I mean? So from 600, and 90 tigers to 3,890 tigers. That's freaking amazing because, as we all know, there's not many tigers out there in the world, and, I'm so happy that we're seeing these numbers grow, and we're not going to let this animal go extinct like we have for, all other animals that we have. You know, the white rhino recently went extinct because of humans, and I think that's so freaking sad, you know what I mean? So, I'm happy that we're getting the tiger population back up, and I'm happy that we're seeing them grow again. But yeah, so that was a positive segment time, and that was the episode. So I hope everybody enjoyed, and I hope you all learned a lot, and I hope you're inspired by Ella, because Ella just really proved to me personally that don't let anything stop you, because no matter where you've been, you can always grow up from there, you know what I mean? And that no matter who you are, no matter what, you can do great things, okay? And I believe that. I believe everybody who's watching, who's listening, who's not listening, can do amazing and great things in this world, and I think that we just need a chance, you know what I mean? So go after that chance, go after that dream, go after whatever you think that will help you be happy and will help you keep living, live to your fullest. But yeah, so I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody learned a lot. And if you would like, go follow this podcast on all podcasting mediums. And you can find this podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Power to Women. Also, you can find this podcast on YouTube now. Woohoo! Also, if you want to go follow my personal Instagram page at EmilyNichols00, I'd appreciate that. And my personal Twitter page at YoungEmily1864. Hell yeah. So yeah. That was this episode. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Have an amazing rest of your week, and peace and aliens be with you.